Hello everyone and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today we'll be taking a look at the LEGO Harry Potter Bricktober minifigure set. This set comes with 25 pieces, which make up 4 minifigures, and in countries that still have Toys R Us, it was released there as a Bricktober promotion, and in the United States, these were released at Barnes & Noble stores, both as a Black Friday promotion, as well as in just for normal sale for $8 a pop. And without any more further ado, let's begin taking a look at these 4 pretty awesome figures. So here we have our first figure, Quidditch Instructor Madame Rowland Hooch, and I think this is a pretty nice figure. Not a huge improvement over the original, but I mean, it's a pretty cool figure. It's definitely my least favorite of the 4 because I do have the 2010 version, and in general, she is just not as interesting as the other 3. Starting with her accessories, she gets the wand piece in dark tan, and an interesting thing about this set is that, of course, in the majority of the new LEGO Harry Potter sets, the wands come on like you get a thing that has 2 wands on it. Like, I just have one right here in dark brown. You get this piece, and there's 1 wand on each side, so you get 2 wands. For this set, the wands come pre-snapped, which is very interesting. I don't know why, I just think that's kinda cool and unique, because that means that they literally had, like, an assembly line of people whose job was to snap the wand piece off of the sprue and shove it into the minifigure hand, and I don't know why, but I think that's kinda funny. Oh, and then our other accessory is just the standard brown broomstick. We've had this for basically as long as the reddish-brown color has existed in LEGO, so since like 2004 in the Prisoner of Azkaban sets probably was the first use of it in that color. So yeah, Madame Hooch here, starting with the hairpiece. It's the same one they used in 2010, and I really don't think it fits. Like, I mean, I think in a perfect world, I would want it to be the hairpiece that, like, it's the hairpiece they used for Lando Calrissian in the Solo Millennium Falcon, and it's the one people use on custom minifigures of Miles Morales. If we could have gotten that hairpiece in light gray, it would have been basically perfect. I know a lot of other people just said that it should be just the sleepyhead spiky hair, which I think also would have been fine. But neither of those exists in the correct color, and I just really don't think this hairpiece fits. Like, I think it kind of gets the right shape, but it's far too clean. Her hair needs to be a lot more messy. Full disclosure, I honestly think the figure looks better if instead you use the Harry Potter hairpiece in light gray, which came on the 2010 version of, well, 2011 figure of Ollivander, as well as Pa Cop from the LEGO movie sets in 2014. Like, it's certainly not perfectly accurate, but I like it. I don't know, so if you have that piece, maybe you should give it a try, and if you have other hairpieces in gray, try those out as well, because, I mean, again, this hairpiece is fine. It's not, like, overly offensively bad. I'm just a bit disappointed that in 9 years they couldn't come up with anything better. The face print, though, is definitely an improvement over the original, seeing as how it no longer gives me nightmares. Seriously, what was LEGO thinking with doing yellow eyes with gold pupils? That's creepy, dude. But yeah, the yellow eyes, technically, I guess it's inaccurate that they're not here, but I mean, at the same time, minifigures don't usually have colored eyes, so I think it's probably for the best that she doesn't have them here. And this is a pretty nice, just sort of normal, stern face. I like the eyebrows, though. Those have some nice detail, but everything else is kind of plain. And then the alternate face, much like the 2010 version, is a face with goggles, as well as a smirk, and interestingly, on this side of the face, this figure has the yellow eyes. You can sort of see the outlining for that, how they don't have the standard minifigure shape and they're not all filled in. Which is interesting, because on the 2010 version, the goggle face had normal minifigure eyes and not the yellow ones. So I'm guessing it was probably an intentional choice to do it like that, which is weird. But I mean, to be fair, the yellow eyes don't look at all creepy like this. It looks pretty normal, so that's cool. Also interesting that they decided to go with both designs having this be a smirk and then the other side be pretty blank. Weird choice. I mean, I would like the no goggle side to have maybe a bit more emotion to it. I don't know, but I feel as though for both, this is the face that everyone ever is going to be using for her, since it's just much better and more interesting, so I don't mind too much. Her cape is just the new style of cape in plain black, which does get crinkled by the packaging of this set, but thankfully it is a newer style cape, because at least this is still relatively flowy. The old style of cape would have been absolutely destroyed by this kind of packaging. Yeah, and then the torso on Madame Hooch is pretty good. I mean, it's, I'd say, the best design of her torso print. But, I mean, again, it's very similar to both the 2002 and 2010 one, because, I mean, there isn't much you can do with her torso. I think the most notable thing is that they removed the negative space printed on the sides, which I think was a very good decision, because it, like, she's wearing robes, so I don't really get it on the old one, although, actually looking at it, I guess she maybe wasn't wearing robes on this one, because there isn't any printing for it, but she does still have the Hogwarts badge. Now that I'm looking at it, this figure is kind of weird with how they did the torso. I'm not sure, but I prefer how it looks here with the robes and the lack of negative space. That looks nice. I like how the robes aren't exactly equal on both sides, how they're sort of awkward, which would totally make sense considering that she is kind of a Quidditch... Well, she is a Quidditch referee and instructor, so, you know, her job definitely requires some physical movement. She has no leg printing, which is fine. I mean, it would have been nice to have gotten maybe just a bit of it, even just continuing on to the belt, since this is kind of a set of 4 super special minifigures. But, I mean, I can let it pass. It's nothing big. It's just, would have been nice to have, you know? But forget that, as this is the only Madame Hooch figure with back printing, which is very necessary. Wait a second. She has negative space on the back. I'm literally just noticing this now. Because I just commented on how there's no negative space, but then she has it on the back. That makes... I guess that's just an oversight that they made, and, I mean, hey, I haven't seen anyone else mention this, and I literally noticed it just now after owning this figure for months. So, I mean, it's not a huge problem, just a super weird thing, I guess. But yeah, then you just have some white stripes. That's fine. Cape has no printing, which LEGO doesn't really print on this style of cape. And it would have kind of been nice to have gotten the old cape, since the 2002 version actually had some really great printing on it that would have been great to have seen again. But then again, the packaging would have completely ruined all of that cape and made it go completely to waste. So it doesn't... It's probably good that they didn't waste the budget on something that would be completely obliterated. Oh, and in case you're wondering, this is what this face looks like with the poofy, hairy hair. I think it looks pretty cute. And yeah, that is the new 2019 version of Madame Hooch. Personally, I'm still not entirely sure why she wasn't included with the Quidditch set. I mean, I know that it already came with 6 minifigures, which for $40 is, like, an amazing deal. So I get why she wasn't in it, but, like, she doesn't really feel super special or collectible, and she's not, like, a super fan-favorite character. Like, with the other 3 figures in the pack, we get 2 characters that we wouldn't be getting until at least 2020, and maybe not even then, and one of them is so much more highly detailed than anything we could ever expect to see in a normal set that it's great to get here, and the other one is just a character we've never gotten, so it's cool, and then the 3rd figure is a variant that we'll probably never see again after this set. So, yeah, compared to those, Madame Hooch is kinda lame. Like, it really does feel to me like they just realized at the last minute that it's weird to have a Quidditch scene without Madame Hooch. They quickly just made her up and threw her in here. Like, literally, that back printing oversight is pretty noticeable to me. I guess not, because, like, I didn't notice it before, but now it's kind of all I can think about with this figure. So, I don't know. Madame Hooch is pretty good. Certainly not perfect, but pretty good. So now let's move on to our next figure, though, who is definitely better than pretty good. Say hello to the first ever LEGO minifigure of Slytherin Potions Professor Horace Slughorn. I guess it makes sense that this is the first version, since LEGO didn't make any sets from the Half-Blood Prince aside from the Burrow, which was really a Chamber of Secrets set that came with a catapult and a couple Death Eaters, let's be real. And He wasn't prominent in the film adaptation of Deathly Hallows, so it makes sense that this is our first version of him. I'm just glad we didn't have to wait until 2020. And I'm also pretty glad that this figure turned out very well. Starting off with the accessories, he gets a brown wand, normal brown. Well, normal reddish brown, but not dark brown. Normal. You know. You can see the color. As well as a potions vial, which is the existing one that we've had since 2011, I want to say, with the Series 4 Dr. Frankenstein minifigure. And, it's a cool accessory to get again, since now there are so many colors of the vial that green actually isn't super common anymore, and in general this part doesn't show up a ton. But at the same time, it would have been nice if they could have put a new color in there. Like, if they'd been able, like, I would have loved if there had been, like, just opaque gold in there to represent the Felix Felicis, however you pronounce it, I don't know. But I get it, that would have added to the budget, and green is perfectly fine. So, yeah. Anyway, removing his accessories, this is a pretty cool figure. His hairpiece is the same one that they used for Commissioner Gordon in the LEGO Batman movie Scuttler set, complete with the light gray printing on the sides, which isn't perfect, but I think it works pretty well. I can't think of any hairpieces that work better, so, you know, yeah. The light gray printing wasn't entirely necessary, but funnily enough, I think it actually would be cheaper for them to just pack in the more detailed piece than to create an unprinted one and make it exclusive here. So I get it. And I mean, hey, I'm certainly not going to get mad at extra detail, I'm just saying that I don't really remember him having light gray sideburns. Then again, it's been a good bit since I've seen the movie, and he's normally wearing like a sleep cap, so I don't know. Anyway, this main face, though, is really good for the actor. Like, the forehead, the eyebrows are great, the crease around the eyes, the mouth is fantastic, and the lines around that. That is a fantastic main face print, and it is new as well, which is nice, and that's probably my favorite thing about getting this figure in this set, since I imagine that if we got Slughorn first in a retail set, like, it would probably find some just old guy face to reuse from another set. Like, I mean, I could totally see them doing something like that, like reusing old man Han Solo's face from The Force Awakens for him. Who knows, maybe they'll still do that when they get around to making wide-release Half-Blood Prince sets, but for now, this boy has a new face and it's pretty good. The alternate face is also pretty good, although it looks a bit less like Slughorn to me. Kind of almost looks to me, combined with this hairpiece, like United States President Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Yeah, that's just me. I can guarantee that literally no one else ever has even thought of that comparison, but I don't know. That's just what I thought of when I saw this face. I don't know why. But yeah, turning it around to what I would consider to be the better face, and the more character-appropriate, kind of would have liked if the alternate face was maybe a bit, like, scared. I think that would have worked. I don't know. Just having a little frown seems a bit tame to me. Anyway, the torso print is pretty cool, with the bow tie and the stretched waistcoat. Like, it's nothing super detailed, though I do like the tweed pattern on the waistcoat. That's nice. But yeah, the back printing is very simple. We've been seeing this sort of design philosophy on tons of minifigures and suits and jackets since 2012. The Lord of the Rings sets might have been the first time we started to see this sort of detailing, as well as the Monster Fighters Lord Vampire. So yeah, I mean, so the torso isn't super amazing, but it works for the character well. No leg printing, but it's not really needed. And yeah, that's Slughorn. I mean, he's not, like, the most amazing minifigure ever, but it's cool to finally get this Harry Potter character, as I believe that this wraps that he was the very last Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher we needed from LEGO. Well, no, he wasn't Defense Against the Dark Arts, but, you know, he was the last single-book teacher introduced. And yes, I know he was in the Deathly Hallows, but you know what I'm getting at. The book even had a whole bait-and-switch where you thought he was going to be the Defense Against the Dark Arts teacher, but then it revealed that Snape was, and he was Potions. You understand what I'm saying. Because, yeah. And in general, this kind of... I don't think we have many more characters to go for the Hogwarts staff. Like, we have Madame Pomfrey, what's her face? We need Professor Binns, and we need the one who teaches astronomy, and then arithmancy, ancient runes, and I think that might be it. Oh, and I guess if you want to be technical, we also need the Caros, but yeah, I mean, it's glad to finally get this figure. Really good face print, pretty good torso print. I mean, the main thing here is less the figure itself and more just how great it is to finally get an official minifigure of Horace Slughorn, head of the Slug Club. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to say here, so I'm going to move on from this figure that is pretty great to what is probably one of the best Harry Potter minifigures. Like, ever? Yeah, let's get to it. So here we have Undersecretary to the Minister of Magic and Hogwarts High Inquisitor, Dolores Umbridge. And this figure is pretty fantastic, if I do say so myself. And I wasn't kidding when I said that this is probably one of the best LEGO Harry Potter minifigures ever. Like, I can't even think of any of the top... This might very well be the best Harry Potter minifigure that I have ever seen. And this is not the first time I've gotten the LEGO Umbridge. She first appeared in the only LEGO set ever produced for the Order of the Phoenix. That being that year's Hogwarts Castle from 2007, which I'm sure by this point a lot more people own the Lepin bootleg of than the actual set. Thanks, Lepin. But yeah, and this figure is such an improvement over that one. It's actually crazy, and while I do not have that version to compare this to, I do have the Nano Umbridge released in the direct-to-consumer Hogwarts Castle from 2018, which, interestingly, was based on the 2007 version by the looks of it, with the fully dark pink coloring, as well as the general shape of the hair, like having a bit less poof to it than the new one. Which is interesting, but I would say that this Umbridge that comes in this pack is definitely the best of the three. Well, I mean, to be fair, does this one even count? I mean, it's so tiny. I mean, it's adorable. I love the Nano figures, but I don't think they really should count in this comparison. I don't even know why I grabbed this Umbridge to show you. I guess just to brag that I do in fact own the direct-to-consumer Hogwarts set, and that there will be a review coming out sometime before June 1st, so prepare for it, kids. It's gonna be a long one. But anyway, so moving back to the figure at hand, here we have Dolores Umbridge. I've said Dolores Umbridge quite a few times already, and her accessories are the wand piece in dark brown, which is its most common color, at least as of 2018, which I think is pretty good. And you also get the new teacup piece, which is very cool to get, since this is the only place it's appeared outside of collectible minifigures, specifically Sybil Trelawney from the Harry Potter series, and Edna Mode from the LEGO Disney Series 2. And, I think it's a perfectly fine accessory. It would have been nice if we could have gotten it in, like, a light pink color, but this is fine. I mean, also, it would have been nice if maybe LEGO could have found a way to include, like, one of her kitty plates on, like, a 2x2 printed tile. But, I mean, to be fair, the figure itself is so great that the accessories are just kind of bonuses here, so it's nice to even get such an uncommon piece already. This is definitely the best accessory in the set, at least in my opinion. So cool to have another one of these. And anyway, taking a look at the figure itself, starting off in 2007, Umbridge actually got herself an exclusively molded hairpiece that went on to appear a couple years later in like one LEGO Creator modular set and then never again. So here she's using the Hollywood Starlet piece from LEGO Minifigures Series 9, I think, but it's cast here in reddish brown, which I think works far better than the original hairpiece. It's basically perfect. Like, I mean, the shaping of it, that little curl down in the front, just everything about this hairpiece is just perfectly Umbridge. The face print is also basically perfect. Now, we did lose the fake blush that she had in the 2007 set, but that really wasn't... Well, it was accurate, but, like, I don't think it was a detail that needed to be, like, super accentuated, so I'm perfectly fine with them dropping it. And I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll add it back in when we probably get a simpler Umbridge in a full-on Order of the Phoenix set at next year. Who knows? But yeah, I think it's fine without it. The face print is super close to the actress, a phenomenal likeness, and again, it's great that this set being a promotion basically meant that LEGO couldn't just reuse a face from another figure, as, I mean, if Umbridge came in a normal set, they very well might, but, you know, that isn't the case, which is very good. Just removing the hairpiece, you have great wrinkles, the eyebrows are great, the lids of the eyes especially are phenomenally done. That is really good, as well as the lines under the eyes, around the mouth. This face is basically flawless for Umbridge. The alternate face, I feel, is a bit less so. It's more angry expression, which perfectly fits the character, but I don't know. I think it's something about the eyes on this face. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe, I think it's that the pupils are a bit more, I think they're a bit too centered, and the eyes in general seem a bit closer together than they should be. I don't know, it's hard to say, but something's a bit off about this face to me. So I'm definitely going to be keeping it on the main side. Now, Umbridge's torso is very nice, since both other versions of her have her without her little light pink sweaters, but this figure gets it, which is nice. And she also gets a little kitten brooch with the little bit of gold, which is very cute. I like the fuzzy texture on the sweater, as well as the very nice pattern of the dress underneath, with the dark red and the pink. That's very good. Like, phenomenal design. The back is much simpler, but just with some stitching detail, a couple of wrinkles, and more fuzziness. I mean, yeah, and then I think the standout part of this figure for a lot of people has to be the legs, and I agree, as they are pretty great. So they are double molded and printed out the wazoo. Like, just looking at the front, like, okay, so you have printing on the belt with more of that dotted pattern as well as black lines. Then on the legs themselves, you have that pattern continuing all the way down, more black lines, as well as dark red printing for sort of inside the pleats of the skirt. And you have the double molded legs, and then you have shoe printing on the feet. That's incredible, in my opinion, and unlike figures like the Queenie Goldstein figure from the minifigure series, here, LEGO did not make the mistake of trying to print the skirt down onto the legs, or the legs down onto the skirt, by putting the black line over that division, which was a brilliant decision, because it means that neither section has to look any the worse for wear. And there is still a cutoff between the two. So that is very well done. And then if we turn this around to the side, we get continuing printing for the shoe, and that connects up super well. And then you have more of the pattern and some more creases. Same thing on the other side. It's basically flawless printing. On the back, we have no printing, so the shoes do cut off, but I think it doesn't look too bad to me. As well as the lack of patterning on the back. Like, I don't mind this at all. Yeah, I mean, like, if you had to have one thing cut off on the back, I would prefer to have the shoes cut off than to have them continue, and then have the bottom be magenta, and then just have, like, the skin printing look super off. And it's hard to say exactly, like, because I think it is pretty fair to say that more so than any of the other figures in the set, it's a very safe bet that LEGO will do another Umbridge after this, and she is the best figure in the set, so if this is just getting a bit ahead of myself, I probably would not get this set right now just for Umbridge. Then again, it's only bound to go up in value over time, so it's hard to say, but yeah, if you just want the character, LEGO will definitely do another one eventually, I feel, although this will definitely be the best version of her, hands down, probably until the end of time. I mean, I doubt they'll do another super special promotional set that includes Umbridge and does her this well. I mean, you really can't do the figure better than this. So if I had to guess, in another set, they might reuse the same face print, as LEGO did do that with the Infinity War Machine figure, bringing it over with the same face into Endgame. Or they could just create a new one with blush, that would be nice. The torso will not have the sweater, that'll be how they do the variation, and the legs, if I had to guess the legs, they'll probably just go with, like, plain pink. Maybe they would do, like, a fabric skirt piece over tan legs with shoe printing on the front, or maybe a fabric skirt piece over pink legs. That's an idea. But anyway, however they do it, I think it's safe to say that this figure is the best thing about this set. One of the best LEGO Harry Potter figures ever made, and they're never going to do Umbridge at this quality ever again. So yeah. Amazing minifigure that I have been talking about for quite a while. So I'm just going to give her back her accessories. So, teacup, really cool. Wand, mandatory of course, she needs her wand. And that is Dolores Umbridge. Also didn't mention so far in this video, and I think Umbridge is probably the best character to do so with. The wands don't have to be held straight up. You can also have them point outwards, like they're dueling and cursing somebody, and that works pretty well for Umbridge. And yeah, that's all I have to say about this figure, so now let's move on to the final one of this set, who has appeared before, but probably won't again soon for a very long time, if ever. So here we have the Boggart from The Prisoner of Azkaban, or Boggart, I've heard it pronounced both ways. Anyway, I'm going to call it the Boggart, and this is it when it takes the form of Professor Severus Snape, because he is Neville's greatest fear, and then Neville uses the ridiculous charm to put him into his grandmother's clothes. Yeah, I think it's kind of funny that this set sees our first minifigure of Slughorn, but it's our second minifigure of a charmed Neville Longbottom's Boggart. I mean, yeah, the original did come out in the Prisoner of Azkaban sets, so I guess it makes sense. It's just kind of funny to me. But what isn't funny is that this figure is pretty fantastic. Starting off, the hat piece is the Scarecrow Hat Piece introduced in Minifigure Series 11 in black, which is a new color for it, which is nice. And I think is exclusive as of yet. So that's nice. You have the little tie around the side, and you have all sorts of nice detail for the floppy brim. And you saw that you have a hole up top, which there is nothing that goes in there that's included here, which is unfortunate, as the hat should have a vulture perched up top. So I think if you have it, you could just put the existing crow piece up here, which is, of course, what the hat was originally designed for. Unfortunate not to have that in dark brown, and even more unfortunate not to get any representation of it in this set, or in any set, since 2014, and I don't think in the Ninja Copter from Ninjago. I think that was the last time we got this piece. They're representing a falcon. The falcon, in fact. And, yeah, I mean, it's a bit unfortunate that for a lot of people, there won't really be any way to represent this. But I mean, to be fair, there's really, like, the packaging for these sets are already pretty tight. Including this bird would have been basically impossible, so I think it's fine. Anyway, because of the hat, the crow stuck, okay. But because of the hat's low-going brim, combined with the fluffy neck piece, which I'll get to in a minute, it does cover up the back of the head, meaning that this figure can and does have an alternate face, which is a pretty smart combination of two pieces together to hide that. But anyway, speaking of the neck piece, it is the piece introduced in the LEGO Marvel Superheroes sets in 2016 for Kraven the Hunter. And it's a pretty nice piece. It of course, represents the big poofy scarf with the cat. And I think it works pretty well for giving that sort of ridiculous look, as it is pretty ridiculous, not to be confused with ridiculous. And if we remove those pieces, we can see that the face print underneath is none other than the same Snape face that appears in two of the sets in the main line, specifically the Hogwarts Whomping Willow and the Quidditch match. Or at least that's what I thought at first. But if you take a closer look at this in comparison to the normal figure, you can see that here the lines are noticeably darker for the tan parts and noticeably thicker and a bit bigger for everything. Like the eyes and mouth are a bit bigger. Everything just seems zoomed in a little, and you can definitely see the change of the tan color. It's much more Like, I think it's a standard nougat on the, like, on the new one, and, well, the one from this pack, and the old one, I'm honestly not sure of what the color is. Maybe it's the same color, but just applied much lighter? It's hard to say. Yeah, the same thing carries on to the back, where it's the face, but big, which is pretty interesting. Like, if I frame this up with the hairpiece, you can see that, I mean, yeah, it's the same face, except with the hairpiece, it looks a bit strange because everything's a bit bigger. And while that might seem like an inherently bad thing, if I frame the normal face up with the hat and scarf, it looks a bit underwhelming. So I doubt it was intentional. This was probably just a factory error, or just a production method. We see this quite a while with China-produced figures. Like, I think most recently was in the Harry Potter minifigure series, where Luna Lovegood had this issue, but we've seen it a couple times in, like, Ninjago sets as well, with, like, I can think of the Nia from the Skybound Battle Pack, and I think Skylore from the Tournament of Elements Battle Pack had it as well. So it's nothing new, but it's interesting to see. And, how's the hat go? There we go. Okay, but, yeah, and I think that it being a mistake actually works well, since it accentuates features that otherwise would kind of be lost in the shadow of the hat. And in general, with how wacky this figure is, it totally works to have the features on Snape's face be a bit accentuated. Heck, if you want to come up with an in-lore explanation, maybe it's because the Boggart is accentuating Snape's features to heighten Neville's fear. I mean, I don't know, I'm just kind of saying stuff at this point, but I mean, who knows? That actually could be an explanation. I'm going to go with that. And up until this point, I've forgotten to talk about the accessory for Snape, which is just a handbag piece in dark red. I don't know when this piece originated, and I don't know if it's existed in dark red before, but my instinct is to say that it's been around since at least, like, I know at least since 2015. I'm gonna go with it probably originated in, like, 2013, 14, that time period. And I'm going to guess that it's appeared in dark red before, although maybe this is the first time we're getting it without printing. Please feel free to tell me if I'm wrong, but I think that it might have appeared in, like, a minifigure series before, but with, like, normal red printing on the dark red purse, and this is our first time getting it plain. I'm probably completely wrong there, but maybe I'm right. I don't know. Anyway, the torso is pretty nice with the kitty scarf eating the mouse and the pinstripe design of the suit, spider crawling out of the pocket. On the back, you just have more pinstripes and some wrinkles and another spider. And this is, of course, with the scarf piece, because if I remove that, well, first off, you can see that just looking at it like this, the tan on the torso, unfortunately, does not match up with the tan of the piece, which is quite unfortunate, as every other figure in the series had some really great application of prints. Like, if we look at Madame Hooch here, like black or gray showing through, which is pretty cool, but unfortunately on this Snape, I mean, the torso just isn't printed as well. It's printed more like what you would get in a standard retail set, which is interesting to me. I mean, it's certainly not great, but it's interesting. But yeah, I think the printing there is pretty good. Like, obviously the scarf piece is what ties it together, but it looks acceptable, just as it is. And on the back, I mean, yeah, it's perfectly fine, but, like, the 3D piece definitely helps it along a lot. And that's really all I have to say about this figure, and he is, I'd say, maybe the lowest quality of the four figures, but he's not my least favorite. If I had to rank the figures, Madame Hooch is my least favorite, because I already have her, and she's, in general, kind of uninteresting. Then this Boggart, because the production quality on this one is a bit wonky. Then Slughorn, because it's great to finally get him, and he's really good. And then Umbridge, because she's phenomenal. And yeah, those are all the figures in this set, and those are my opinions on them. But before I wrap up this video, let's take a quick look at the box for the set. So this came packaged in this surprisingly high-quality box, which is protected in stores just by this little clear plastic sleeve, which is just taped in a couple places, but sliding that off as the box falls over, because why wouldn't it? I put all 4 figures in it so you can see how it would be displayed new, and, yeah. Or, well, relatively new. The wands would be in different positions and stuff, and yeah, it was really difficult getting all these figures back into the packaging, so I'm not going to be removing them for the final verdict. But yeah, so we have Lego Harry Potter in the top left, Harry, Ron, and Hermione in the top right, and I guess of all the sets, this is probably the one where it makes the most sense to have Order of the Phoenix images of them, as Umbridge is in the set, as well as Slughorn, who's still kind of from, like, those later Hogwarts films, so it makes more sense than having this image for, like, the Philosopher's Stone. So, I mean, yeah. 25 pieces, ages 6 and up. It's limited edition on the bottom. No Toys R Us exclusive logo, for obvious reasons. And yeah, the 4 figures are just packaged in nicely in some pretty tight bubbles. Not really bubbles, but, you know, pretty tight open spaces, so it is, again, very difficult to get in the back in if you want to display them in box, like new. On the side, we have limited edition in a bunch of languages, more languages, Lego Harry Potter, Lego Harry Potter. On the back, we have Lego Harry Potter and legal info that I'm not going to read. So yeah, overall, this set is pretty cool. In other countries where you still have Toys R Us, I want to say that this was available with a pre-order if you spent X amount of money. I don't know what it would be for each individual country, but you know, like the normal amount. And for that, I mean, this is a pretty great bonus. Same thing with the US, where if you spent $75 on Lego at Barnes & Noble, you got the set for free. That's also pretty good. Best deal for this set, though, was Barnes & Noble outside of that, as they sold the set for, again, I said it at the beginning, but in case you missed it, $8. 8 smackaroons for these 4 fantastic figures. Like, full disclosure, I would pay $8 for Umbridge alone. And then, like, at least, like, 8 for Umbridge, 5 for Slughorn, and then, like, 3 each for the other 2. And that's $19. So, like, I would have been fine if this set retailed for $20, and had it released at Toys R Us, it totally would have. And honestly, I think this set would have been perfectly fine for that price, as we get, like, Umbridge is just beautiful, a phenomenal minifigure. Slughorn's just great to finally get, and he's basically as perfect as you would want him to be. And then the other 2 are also really cool, even if they're certainly not perfect. And, but yeah, and like, $8, that's just insane. So I would definitely pay that price for this set. Unfortunately, there's really no chance you have at this point of finding the set in store. Like, it released at Barnes & Noble in, like, November of last year, and, like, people have known about this set for a very long time. It's extremely unlikely you're going to find this anywhere but secondhand now. So how much would I pay for this set secondhand? Well, obviously, if you don't care about Lego Harry Potter, then why have you clicked on this ridiculously long video on it? If you're a fan of Lego, probably, like, but not Harry Potter, just skip this one. If you're a fan of Harry Potter, these are some pretty cool figures to get, although if you just want anything Lego Harry Potter, there are definitely better options, and, you know, like, for the same price of this, you could probably get one of the medium-sized sets. But for fans of Lego Harry Potter who really want all of the stuff from the line, myself definitely included in that, you do need to pick this set up. Like, if you're going for completion, this set is part of that, and I guess the thing is, how much would I pay for the set? So, I think I haven't been checking exactly how much it's going for currently, but I know that at least a few months ago, the average prices were like $50 to $80, and I would never pay $80. $50 is more like, but even then, I kind of blanch at that. Like, I think $35 would be a pretty great price for this. If you see this for $35 or lower, I'd jump on it. If you see it for, like, $40, that's alright. If you see it for $45, that's, try to best offer it down. Like, in general, if you see it $45 or more on eBay, try to best offer it down to something more reasonable. Do not pay more than $50 for this, because this is, like, as great as these 4 minifigures are, like, there are already 2 other far cheaper versions of Madame Hooch you could get if you want her. Slughorn will probably come in another set soon, and I mean, to be fair, it wouldn't be too hard to make a purist custom of him. Umbridge already has a figure, and which is also pretty rare to be fair, but she'll definitely come in a set in 2020. You can quote me on this, it is fact. Umbridge will be coming in a set in 2020. I mean, obviously I have nothing to back this up aside from the fact that it would make no sense for them to not include the most popular Harry Potter villain and just one of the most popular characters in general. That would make no sense. Boggart Snape doesn't have much demand, but he'll probably never be made again, at least not for well over a decade, if LEGO Harry Potter even lasts that long. Hopefully it does. But anyway, so, yeah. I guess the bottom line is this set's really cool, but don't overspend on it. So yeah. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one, although I don't know why you people keep coming back. Bye!